Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And I'm feeling pretty happy this week. How about you guys? Let me know. All right. The reason I was a couple of minutes late is because, as much as I allow time for everything to do its thing. For some reason, when I turned my laptop on today, the one here in the kitchen, it decided it completely wanted to install stuff or something, and it was just like, really? But isn't that life? All right. And I say that because I'm feeling happy, but just a tad frustrated with myself. I should know better, right? And it's just like I normally allow a lot more time than I did today. And of course, that's the day that it had to reboot everything. So there we go. Uh, it was just like, really, how can you do this? So let's get on with the show. And today we're going to talk about being happy. But first of all, I just wanted to know if there are any high days and holidays that I might miss. Let me just see here. Whose birthday do we know about this week? Where are we? Wow. So it was Emma's birthday on the 16th. What are we at now? Wow, don't even know what day it is. We must be about the 20th now, right? Anyway, and then Sandy's twins had birthday yesterday, and there we go. That's about it, I think, for this week. So if there's another birthday and I don't know about it, please let me know because it means it's not in our database. And a very big hi to Jody, who is our admin, and thank you for holding on and looking after the show while I was trying to um, get there today. It's amazing how long it takes when you don't want it to take a long time. Now, just a word of warning. I'm not going to be doing this evening's broadcast. And the reason for that is because I'm going to be going camping tomorrow. And I've got a lot of things, and I'll talk about that a bit more uh, when I get to that point. But just to give the regular viewers a heads up that there'll be no evening broadcast tonight. So you all get the night off. I'm going to be busy doing other things. All right. So the dog, the cat, woof woof. Hi there, dog. Um, so when you look at it, I wanted to just say to you that one of the things I find about feelings is that it's so much of I've always said that if it's a feeling, it's something I control. And whether it's a good feeling or not, whether a happy one or not, is my choice. And when you look at it, I want you to really be aware of how much your happiness revolves around what's going on inside here. I had a happy week overall, I must say. I was doing pretty well all around. I started Monday. Monday I went to have my Mother's Day lunch with Doug. And it was really funny, quite honestly. And I found that we walked into we went to a golf club that's local. It has really good food, but we walked in and there were like 101 people in the air conditioned restaurant. And Doug and I walked straight through the restaurant and out onto the deck. And almost immediately, a server came out and said, "No, it's way too hot on the deck. You know, um, please don't, sit there." And Doug and I just looked at him and smiled and said, "We lived in Africa." And they had a really nice big umbrella, and we sat under the umbrella, and we had an absolute breeze and really nice breeze coming through. And so even though it was close to 90 degrees um, Fahrenheit, it was really pleasant. I cannot say that at any point did I feel uncomfortable out there at all. And so I was a very happy little camper. And there are times, and it was really noisy in the restaurant, but, and so there were so many people in there, and they're all busy chatting. So for me, it was much easier to enjoy myself. Um, so here we are about feeling happy. Dennis Waitley said, "Happiness cannot be traveled to, owned, earned, worn, or consumed. Happiness is a spiritual experience of living every moment with love, grace, and gratitude." Isn't that beautiful? With love, grace, and gratitude. So I was really happy to be having lunch with Doug. I was fascinated at some of the things we talked about. It was like the meal could have gone on for days and I would have been happy, quite honestly, because I never get bored because Doug and I always talk very intense things. I'm one of those people. I'm not what I call a superficial person, right? I really like in-depth stuff. And so it's always a pleasure for me to talk with Doug because he takes things to a whole different level. I did ask him, just so that, oh, first of all, what did I have to eat? I forgot all about my diabetes and everything else, and I had fish and chips. And then I really, really um, enjoyed them. I had ketchup and all other things. Um, and so we we totally enjoyed. What did Doug have? Doug had the buffet. So he and his plate was mounded like this. I mean, he really got his money's worth out of the buffet, I must say. Um, but it was like the food was secondary to the company, and I am certain the waiter that had to keep coming out into the heat probably wasn't happy with us, but we really didn't care. So some cause happiness wherever they go, and others wherever they go. um, so you understand that what is comfortable for some is not comfortable for others. And I think that's the point I wanted to make. What makes you happy doesn't make other people happy. I am certain there were people in that restaurant rolling their eyes, going, "Are they insane going outside and sitting in that heat?" Whereas for Dougie and I, who'd lived in Africa, that was nothing unpleasant about it at all. As long as there was a bit of a breeze, it was delightful. So, um, Doug, I asked Doug the question that I know you guys have been asking me. We had a discussion a couple of broadcasts ago about artificial intelligence and how are we going to be sure that what we're watching is true. Um, he obviously referred us back to the place called Snopes, 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 to fact check things. And I've always used that particular place to double check things. But the other thing is, he suggested using non-traditional search engines when you're trying to check on the validity or veracity of something. And one of the ones that he mentioned, in fact, one was called DuckDuckGo, DuckDuckGo.com. And then the other one was called Mojeek.com, Mojeek. Um, so he said that he finds that when you search from a non-traditional search engine, the information you get is much wider, if you like. So it's not pre-filtered out by the platform that you're using. So I was very grateful for that. Um, this whole business about artificial intelligence is, to my mind, really scary, and I'm going to be um, going and having this camping trip with Marnie, and I'm going to find out. She actually works at the local university of British Columbia, and I'm going to sort of get an idea from her what the I mean, if anybody's got to be concerned about this, it's got to be a university with all the plagiarism and everything else that goes on. So I want to find out from her, what the best practices might be. And obviously, I will pass that back to you. Beyonce said, be healthy and take care of yourself, but be happy with the beautiful things that make you you. There's no doubt about it that when we start doubting ourselves, we start getting miserable. And when we start embracing who we are, we're happy. And so, good or bad, it's like I know that when I embrace who I am, I enjoy my life. And when I try to sort of fit into the other people's pattern, I don't. So the question is, have you been happy this week? And if so, let's talk about it. If you're watching it on the replay, feel free to leave us a note so that we can share in your happiness. And while I'm waiting to hear about that, I thought I'd let you know I was also a little productive this week. Not very, but a little. um, but that was due to the fact that I was horrified. I decided at the beginning of the month, or at least once a month, I pick up my floor mats in my bathroom and I huck them into my dryer. I don't wash them because they're heavy. What I do is I've got really big dryers, so I throw them all into my dryer and I throw in a wet towel, and then I sanitize them. And it also gets out anything that happens to be in there. So it's a really good thing to do, and it also saves the wear and tear on bath mats. When you think about it, all bath mats really do is get wet, and they dry during the day. But so I like to sanitize them, and it's amazing how well that works. It really fluffs them up and makes them look good, and I'm really happy. But when I do that, it's also the time for me to wash my bathroom floor. And I don't know why. This time I'm going, boy, and that was overdue. And I thought, why is that overdue? And I went, because I haven't sent Clarence the cleaner. I've got a robot cleaner, and I haven't sent him around for a month, I don't think. So obviously it is time to do that. Jody's saying, I was happy this week because my insurance paperwork has been submitted and approved, and I've been sleeping a little bit better. Yes, now for those of you who don't know, Jody, our admin, has a multitude of health issues. And so for her to have her insurance paperwork all done, she has to do it every year, and it's multiple pages, right, Jody? It's horrific how many pages she has to fill in. But the good news is they now know she's an honorable person, and so they know when she's done it, they can they can trust what she says. And I think that is, it was 71 pages. Can you imagine filling in 71 pages of health information? But Jody, I am pretty certain the reason they cleared it so quickly is because they now know you are who you are. You're known to them and they can trust you. And that's why it got approved immediately. Abraham Lincoln said that most folks are about as happy as they make their minds up to be. So I think, Jody, as well, what I've noticed with you over the years is that you no longer have complaints about the 71 pages. You just know you see it a different way now, right? 71 pages to fill in so that I can get what I need. And that's a whole different way of looking at it, rather than why do I have to fill in? No, when you go, okay, fine, I just need to fill in these pages and I'm good for a year. The difference in thinking is what makes you happy. And the fact that it's not a case of you want to make the time, you have to make the time. And it takes way longer than you think it's going to, because not everybody, comes back to you as quickly as you would like. And so to me, I think it's a very good lesson. Jody's saying, so true. I used to dread it and complain. Now I see it with gratitude. Yeah, if you go, I know that because I talk to you while you're filling those things in, and I've noticed a definite shift in your mindset. You no longer see it as a pain. You see it as, as something that brings you what you need. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "For every minute that you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness." So be happy. It's a choice. I have decided that it's that time of year where my bank, which is like an angle like this, my bank needs to be weed whacked. And I'm going, I really need to get up there and do it. I've done a third of it. And then I looked at it and I went, well, my neighbor hasn't done hers, so why don't I just let mine grow at the same speed as hers? Um, but I'm busy trying to find. I actually have reached out to try and find a lawn service that would, pop in and just weed whack that for me. But I'm getting a bit of problem getting a response. I guess it's a very small job. But my attitude is they're doing other things in my complex, so it's just another one, and you don't have extra travel. So that's what I'm hoping it will be. But what is Plan B? I don't know it. Yeah, I definitely need to have the options. And somebody was saying to me, why don't you just get a contractor in and just put bulk bark mulch, uh, all over it. And that isn't a bad idea, except the angle that it's at. I think it would shift all the time with the rain, would just drag it down. So, and also, I don't own that land. So why would I spend a fortune doing that when I don't own the land? I can't take it with me, sort of thing. So I would rather find somebody that I can. I realized it really isn't that many months of the year, right? You're going to probably May and June, and then in July it's too hot. The grass dies off anyway, and then um, comes back again in about October. Late September, October. So it's just 4 months of the year, and I think it just needs somebody who's going to help me. How about this one? The biggest adventure you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams. Oprah said that. And so here's my question. Even if your dreams are no longer the ones that you had 20 years ago, what would be living your life, the life of your dreams look like for you at the moment? And I definitely said to myself, I definitely felt very loved this week. All right. I had a beautiful card from Doug, Mother's Day card. And for those of you who don't know, I am Doug's mother of choice, rather than his natural mother. And when I say mother of choice, he has a very, very delightful mom who's actually coming to visit soon. So that's going to be exciting for him. Um, and, but, she lives in Kenya. And so it's really wonderful when I get to be his mom all the rest of the time when she doesn't come to visit. Um, but, it's been an incredible journey for the two of us. I met him when he was 17, I think, or 18. And I look at him now, and yes, all these years later, and it's just like I'm so grateful for it all. And then I also felt really loved, that Marnie, my friend Marnie, is taking me for a 24-hour camping trip. And there was part of me that shifted. I wonder if you can travel with me, because originally it was going to be 2 days, and I was very excited about that. And then suddenly she wrote to me and said, I need to drop off a day. And it was weird because my first reaction to that was disappointment. I've got to admit, I was disappointed because I was so looking forward to 2 days with her, because also another person that have really interesting conversations with. And then I sort of almost canceled it, because what's the point? You got all that work just for one day. Is it worth it? And then I sort of stopped myself and went, boy, are you shooting yourself in the foot here? One day with Marnie is better than no days with Marnie. So, just wake up. So in changing my thinking, I changed my happiness. However, Boy, is there a lot of stuff to do to go camping for one day, for 24 hours. It is really surprising to me, and how much there is to do, because you've got to take, all your not cosmetics, but all your hygiene stuff and so forth. I've got to take all my pills for the morning, all my pills for the actually for the evening, and then for the morning. I was looking at everything I need to take, and I'm going, this is insane. I've got to take all this just to spend 24 hours. And, it's just like, it's been so long since I've been camping. And then the other thing is that Marnie doesn't have an oven that works in her trailer. So she just has a microwave. And then she realized she had tried to buy food for me, and she realized, of course, that I'm allergic to garlic, and that she suddenly found out just how difficult that is to cater to. And she said, all the instant meals that she was going to nuke for me in the microwave had garlic in them. And I said, that's why I'm bringing my own food. and I had said that at the beginning when she said to me, what would you like to eat? I said, why don't we just both bring what we want to eat? And then, we'll both be happy, and we can share. But I mean, it's just a case of if we both bring what we want to eat, and then we'll just make it a potluck. Yeah, Jody's saying there's garlic and everything. It definitely, when you get packaged foods, sort of heat them up type foods. Yeah, definitely. Mary Lou Retton, the gymnast, said, optimism is a happiness magnet. If you stay positive, good things and good people will be drawn to you. And one of the things that always amazes me is how you can be feeling absolutely great, and you'll get a negative Nelly come in, and suddenly the mood changes completely. It happened to us during a broadcast. Not that the person meant to be a negative Nelly, but they started to talk about some stuff that was absolutely horrific. And it changed my mood so much, I had to stop the broadcast because I couldn't continue in my mindset after that discussion. So it's true that it can happen. So did you feel loved this week? And I hope you did. Jody's saying there's a heat and serve mac and cheese, but I'm sure it's nothing like your homemade version. Yeah, I was wondering whether to make some mac and cheese. Part of the reason I'm not going to do this evening's broadcast is because I want to just make myself, a couple of things, and I don't want to have to do it during the broadcast. I want to multitask quite a bit of stuff this evening. So that's what I'm going to do. But one of the things I did do, just so you can see, I put together, I've still got to put some mayo in here, but I've got nuts. I've got onions to put on top of, they're yum onions to go on top of salad. I've got cranberries. I've got some crispy noodles. This is peanut butter and honey for a dip. And then I'm also going to do a mayo dip, because I'm going to take fruit and vegetables with me. But it is just like, it's so easy to take that just like that. And now I'm also going to take, obviously, some of those cold meats that we sliced up. I got beef, and I'm going to take some ham as well. And then I'm going to, this evening, bake a couple of pitas and take some soup with me. You remember that popcorn? Actually, that is a good idea, Jody. Thank you. Yes, I'll make some popcorn, just some plain popcorn, because it's another good snack. And I'll take a couple of crackers, and I got cheese and crackers and grapes I will take. So, and cut up some vegetables. It can all come home with me. I'd rather have too much with me than not enough. And I really don't need a hot meal. If I might take some of that soup. Because I happened to open one yesterday. So, I really love this soup. It's very thick. So I might have sort of soup and salad for dinner. Um, But it's amazing how much you have to think about. I'm going, all right, what else do I have to have? It's been so long since I've been camping. Helen Keller said, everything has its wonders, even darkness and silence. And I learn, whatever state I may be in, and therein to be content. Yeah, look for learning lessons in everything, and you will be happier. Now, I saw something this week that blew my mind. And you know me, if anything blows my mind, the chances are it will probably blow yours as well. I'm going to put this under, was I educated this week? In terms of the largest military armies, if you like, the size of the military, which countries do you think have the biggest military presence? I was absolutely stunned that I certainly had not counted on one of the top five being there. In fact, two of the top five. But when I thought about it, it made sense. So just give you a second. If you're, watching on the replay, just gonna just give a second to think about it. But which countries do you think have the biggest military? And if you've got your top five, do you have them in the what you consider to be the right order? And now I'm going to blow your mind, I think. You probably had China in there, and you probably had China as number one. And you'd be right. Who did you have as number two? Who do you think has the second biggest army in the world? And this one, I got wrong. I would have thought it was the Russia or the US, but it isn't. It is India. India has the second biggest army. Third is the US. Fourth, blew my mind, North Korea. And fifth, Russia. Now, when you think about it, it makes sense that India has a very big military presence because it's a country with a massive amount of people in it and also high poverty. So therefore, a lot of people join the military to have a better way of life. So that makes sense to me when you've got a country with that many people in it. But boy, I did not have North Korea as having the fourth biggest army in the world. Did you? And that its army was bigger than Russia's. Now, we know that Russia's army is being depleted as we speak. But, that was pretty sad. So just to follow through the next couple, after Russia came, number 6 was Pakistan, again, high population. 7 was Iran. 8, South Korea. And 9, Vietnam. Canada didn't rank in there. We're the peacekeepers, right? Yeah, Jody's saying that it's wild that North Korea has a bigger presence than Russia. That is exactly why I thought I'd share this with you, because I would never have put North Korea in the top 10. And that's how wrong I can be. There is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things that are beyond your power or your will. And, this is the whole thing, is we spend so much time worrying about things that we have absolutely no control over. And therefore, we waste a lot of energy. Now, for example, whether we like it or not, if I can put it this way, whether we like it or not, artificial intelligence is here. It's scaring people who know about these things, and they're calling for, very high regulation of AI. But my attitude is, we can highly regulate it, but what about the countries that choose not to highly regulate it? The rate at which we are developing AI technology means that AI, all those science fiction movies where you saw that the artificial intelligence overtook the human intelligence, and then took over. That is literally happening. It is, you know, I read 10 years ago. I read that the computer doctors are far more effective than human ones. That computer lawyers are far more knowledgeable, obviously, than real ones. And it's just like all this artificial intelligence um, is going to have a huge, huge impact, whether we like it or not. And the biggest impact will be on manpower. When I say on manpower, you understand once it is accepted. How many of you know that when you write to a supplier to complain about something, the first thing you hit is not a human. You hit artificial intelligence that automatically sends you, oh, okay, how can I help you? And how nice to meet you, and whatever. It's all standard boilerplate stuff. And it tries to answer your questions with artificial intelligence, uh, unless you ask to speak to a human. And sometimes you get caught in a loop that you can't get out of. I can't remember what it was I tried to do recently. And it was so terrifying because I couldn't get out of the loop. The artificial intelligence had me by yeah, and it wouldn't let go. And I couldn't get the answer regardless of how I asked the question. And it wouldn't pass me on to a human. So it was very terrifying. So to me, it's like, but we know it is here. It's not going away. It is here. And it's going to, and not everybody is going to deal with it in a, what do you call it, ethical way. You remember when we cloned a sheep, all right? But the world decided maybe this wasn't a good thing to do, because it would mean people would be cloning their babies and all sorts of things. And so then the world itself, self-regulated and said, no, we don't want to be doing this. Yeah, Jodie's saying that's so frustrating that her internet provider is notorious for those automated loops. So difficult to get a human on the line. Yeah. And there's, if they don't understand you, they keep giving you the wrong answer, and you can't get them to understand what you're trying to tell them. And it's just Steve Maraboli, who I love to quote, says, cry, forgive, learn, move on, and let your tears water the seeds of your future happiness. It is so important that we feel what we need to feel. The frustration there's nothing wrong with feeling frustrated. It is what you are feeling. Why are you frustrated? Because you can't do things your way. I wrote a poem about that. Yeah, frustration is, or so I hear say, that nasty feeling of not getting your way. When no one will listen to your bright ideas, maybe because of their own little fears, and then you walk around angry and sad. Hey, my friend, life's not that bad. They've had the right, and they've had it of old, not to agree. Your idea is not sold. So when you get right down to it, did you show them a benefit? And did you, or did you something and strut around trying to convince them your idea was sound? Frustration, you see, is not just yours. It comes to anyone pursuing a cause. So frustration is a very natural thing. But I always laugh and remember, the reason I'm frustrated is because I'm not getting my own way. And so that's a really good signal if you want to be happy, which is, okay, this is frustrating because I'm not getting my own way. So what do I need to do next so that I can take a step forward? Or do I just need to breathe and take a day, and so that I can readjust my expectations? I realized after I was having a problem trying to find somebody to mow my bank that, yeah, hey, if necessary, I'm going to just let it grow a while and not worry about it. Um, but I do worry about it, and I want to get it done. It is said that the happiest people seem to be those who have no particular cause for being happy, except that they are so. I've always said that the happiest people I ever met were in Africa, and they were people who had nothing. People with dirt on the ground, no electricity, no internet, no all those sort of, actually now that wouldn't be the same. I think everybody's got the internet now somehow. But they were the happiest people. And I believe when I think back on it, the reason they're happy is they have a routine. All right. Everybody knows their sort of situation in society, and they have a routine. This is, get up in the morning and this is what you do. And they have a real sense of community. And I think that is something that we are definitely losing, is our sense of community. And I do believe that we are getting more and more isolated with everything that's going on in the world. And I don't think that COVID helped us at all, because what it did was it pushed us all back into our homes to close the door and not communicate with people one-on-one. And now we've learned how to survive by not doing that. And I think that our mental health issues are likely to um, show that. So my question would be, what are you doing to make sure that you are feeling happier every day so that your mental health is not affected, or that you can keep readjusting? Now, Jody, I know, has done a great job. She's got a lot of these health issues going on, but she does a great job of readjusting. And I thought it would be fair to say, Jody, that this quote from Carrie Underwood, where she said, every day is a new day. In other words, go to bed at night and wake up to a new day tomorrow. Whatever was frustrating you today, let it be. Whatever was not going right for you yesterday, let it be. And then start again. Start making the phone calls again. Start, doing whatever you can so that you did your best. But, just know that every day is a new one. And that is so important that we do that. I believe I was pretty happy this week because I did a good job of keeping in touch with people. And when I say that, I, it is one of the checklists that I have. I'm somebody that's dealt with mental illness in their life, so I know that I don't want to go back there. And I do know from experience that if you are doing what I call your normal routine, you are not in depression. And so I might be feeling blue or upset, but I'm not in depression. And so that's my benchmark, and it's very simple. Did I get up? Yes, that's a good sign. Did I do my usual hygiene routine? Did I take my meds? Did I brush my teeth? Did I, all those sort of things? Yes. Okay, well, that's pretty good. Is my bathroom tidy? Simple, right? How about my bedroom? And I have like a checklist, because if I have done these things, that means that I am in control of my mind. However, I think you will all agree that when you are overwhelmed, things start to slide. And one of the things I obviously kept missing was, have you sent Clarence the cleaner around to deep clean in your house? And the answer obviously is no, because I saw my bathroom floor was way dirtier than I've seen it in a long time. And it was just, I missed out doing that. I don't know why, but I did. It's like, yikes. And there's not much point of having a robot vacuum cleaner if you don't turn it on. I can see the humor in it. So I did a good job of keeping in touch with all sorts of different people. And that made me feel good. I was pretty happy. I was sad that this year, and I haven't found out why yet, but this year is the first year since I've known Cisco that he didn't call me on Mother's Day. So that is his right, and I understand that. Maybe the reason is that I haven't been a very good mum to him this year. And, I'm going to find out what his reason was, because I'm sure it crossed his mind, but for some reason he didn't act upon it and still hasn't nearly a week later. So, interesting. How did you do keeping in touch with people? Because that's something that will make you happy. Now, even if you hear bad news, or to me, I've already started making appointments for next week when I get back from the trip, so that I get myself out of myself, right? That I'm not always sitting around doing, my stuff. That I'm going to go and visit somebody. There's an older gentleman who left here and has gone to a home. Well, I would say an elder apartment system. And I'm going to go and visit him, see how he is and see how he's doing. And I think it will be good for him and good for me. So, it'll get me out of the house, so to speak. Bob Ross said, beauty is everywhere. You just have to look to see it. Jodie's saying she also did a good job keeping in touch with her circle of friends. I always feel like there's room for improvement, though. Yeah, you know something, though, but Jodie, it's the people that you want to keep. And, you and I both know that there are people in our lives that are not communicating as much as they used to or whatever. And that's their choice, right? I I am a great believer. If you need to do more than 50%, then you're doing too much. So you know who wants to be in touch with you, and and I know that number dwindles when you are ill. That amazed me, and it's something that I almost could write a book on, which is when you get ill. It's amazing. People sort of either come towards you or they run away. It's really, really interesting to me how that happens. But it is what it is. And so that's really important. I'm noticing I have no makeup on today, and I'm still noticing these bags under my eyes. So I definitely am going to have to do something about that. And yet I'm sleeping fairly well, so I'm not quite sure what's causing them. But you can see it's just like there's this color here, and then there's this color here. So definitely got to do something about that. All right, so how about this one? Um, John Zim said, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to swim. I watched a little short this week of a dog sitting at the edge of the ocean. He was sitting far enough in, I would say, so that the waves were going past him. And he was just sitting there. And the waves were just coming in and hitting him. But, they weren't going over his head. They were just hitting him to about here. And, the person who posted it said, I wonder what he's thinking. Because he was just serenely sitting there, letting the ocean do its thing. And then I started to try and work out, I hope it's not the tide coming in. I hope that's the tide going out, because if he sits there much longer, he's going to be covered. But it was looked so peaceful. He just cool. It reminded me of being in Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. Um, and just sitting in the on the incredible white beach, but in the water, with the waves just lapping over me. I know what that feels like. I've done it, and I've even taken a chair into the water, deep enough, as the tide's going out. But take a chair in and just sit in a chair and just be comfortable. Drink in one hand, and in those days, a cigarette in the other. I thought that was really the way to vacation. So you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to swim. I thought that was, We have to remember that so often. So keeping in touch requires effort. And what I suggest is that, part of your daily routine is, have I kept in touch with somebody today? Doesn't matter who it is, somebody. Can I say yes to that? And if so, that's a good habit to get into. How about exercise, movement? I hadn't done as well on movement in the last week as I would have liked, but I did, as far as I know, I have managed to keep my steps up above 5,000 a day. So some days I did 8, some days I didn't, but it's somewhere between 5 and 8. So I, I'm, it's a bit lower than I would like, but I'm doing it. And so that's pretty good. And the one thing I have done is I have now got it into my mind that as soon as it comes up on my thing, all right, it's time to do some exercise, is to go and sit, turn something I want to binge watch on television, go sit where my pedal bike is, my little mini bike, under desk type bike. And then I do my special exercises I have to do post-op. And that takes about half an hour. And that normally puts about 3,000 steps on. Actually, probably a bit less when I'm doing the exercise because my concentration is on doing the exercise and the pedaling comes in as well. Jody's saying, I failed at using the elliptical this week, but I do get extra steps in using the walker and cane. How is that going for you, Jody? I know that you were able to get to the washroom and back again. Are you still able to do that? Um, because my memory was that when you were using the elliptical, you definitely were strengthening those muscles. So hopefully that, your muscles are still strong, but if they're not, you know what to do. And that to me is the important thing. You also know that it's really important for you to include that in your daily routine. Jody's saying it's going well, and yes, I'm still able to get to the washroom and back without your walker and without a cane. This is amazing. For those of you who don't know, Jody had an issue with her foot. It became a drop foot. When she walked with this foot, this one didn't lift up again. Okay, so she's saying she does use the walker when she needs to be extra careful, be it at night or when Lionel, her husband, isn't around. Very clever. That's being intelligent. Yeah. Well done. How about this one? John Lennon said this: count your age by friends, not years. Have you noticed that the older you get, the less friends you have, and out of choice? And then count your life by smiles, not tears. To me, the whole idea of going through all that I'm about to do to go camping for just 24 hours, between being picked up and almost coming back again will be about 24 hours. That is about the memory. It's not about how practical is it, how wise is it worth it? It's a memory. And who knows when I will get to go camping again. So I choose to do all of this so that I can have the memory. And I know that I will learn a lot and smile a lot and be grateful that I went. On the other hand, camping has always been camping. You never know what's going to happen. And we're not even going very far. We're going about 10 blocks away from where I live. That's fine. It's away from the routine. I thought this was a nice quote. Julia Alvarez said this: the point is not to pay back kindness, but to pass it on. So, did any of you pass on kindness this week? All right? Did any of you pass on kindness? I woke up one morning and my beautiful hydrangea was completely dehydrated and looked like it died overnight. And guess what? I must have forgotten to water it that day. And it was horrific. And I said, before I throw it out, or actually I'll plant it in the garden ready for next year. But before I do that, I'm going to really give it a good soak and see whether I can rehydrate it. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? And I'm not joking. If you'd seen it, you would say it was definitely a dead thing. Um, so it was just like, it's amazing how many things in life, if you just treat it properly, it'll come back again, like people. So what I did was I passed that knowledge on to Yvonne because I know she's also got one. And what I found out was they'd already done it. They had already also had that problem where they forgot to water it one day and the next day it was completely drooping. And Jody's saying, my kindness this week was letting Lionel have a portion of chocolate mousse. Isn't that kind of you? Yeah, one of the things I've made, I made some Jell-O to take with me as well, just for a treat. So last week I was talking to you about using arrowroot as dry shampoo. Well, I want to tell you something. When I woke up this morning, my hair was, that when it starts to get a bit what I call stringy, when it's getting, it's time for it to, I'm going to be um, washing it tonight, but, it just looked a bit stringy. And I literally took some of that arrowroot powder and I just rubbed it into my scalp and brushed it in. And guess what? Hair looked fine again. And so that is, how much money that's going to save me in dry shampoo? It's just like, yikes. That is really amazing that it happened. So I'm really happy. And so here is the question, right? Would you agree that no medicine cures what happiness cannot? One of the things that I am totally aware of is, when did you last hear me talk about sitting in confetti corner and being creative? I haven't done anything in confetti corner for months. I don't think I've done anything in confetti corner just about since the end of the winter. And I can feel it. I can feel the difference. And it surprises me that I can feel the difference. And so part of my goal when I come back and regroup after my trip away is to go back to spending at least one day a week in confetti corner, because it just keeps my mind in the right space. However, I did do something. Let me show you. I know this sounds really incredible, but I got this blouse, which I thought was, oh, I'm going to look like I'm from Australia now with the green and the gold, or the Springboks even. All right, so I got this blouse as to cover up a little bit, but when I got it, the sleeves came down to here and were tight. All right, so I was about to donate it when I thought, wait a minute, I know why I want this blouse. I want it to, when I've got the tank tops, I want to be able to have a blouse over the top of them. And so what I did was I took something that fitted me, and then I just cut the armhole to the right shape. In other words, instead of it being here, I cut it so that it was here, and then refinished it. Okay, if you can see that, but just refinished it all. And then I want to say that gave me pleasure. And I was grateful to my home ec teacher who taught me how to do that. And the fact that, in this day and age, how many people know how to do something like that? And that's what made me think I'm so grateful for the fact that I learned how to do that and wasn't scared to do it. And everything is so disposable today, right? And I thought, before I pass it on, I know why I want it, and that let me just do what needs to be done. And it felt so good, and I did it. The only problem I had was threading a needle, but I'm getting better at it again. But it was just like I used to make all my own clothes, and then Walmart happened, right? Or we got so that it was cheaper just to buy them rather than to make them. Can you remember when it was cheaper to make your own clothes? And and it was funny. The other thing I was really happy about was my black face cloths arrived. Now, for those of you who don't know, I am trying to not use paper towels as much. I know I will still use paper towels in some for some reasons, but what I had was a lot of white face cloths, and I thought, that's stupid. When I drop something on the floor, I'm not going to throw a white one down to clean the floor. I have done, but let me get black ones, all right, so that I don't think twice. It's just like when it's a black one, you don't care, right? It doesn't matter if it's tomato based. You can just drop this down wet, clean the floor up, and then throw it in the wash. And so I was really happy to get them. And the first batch have already been washed and are back into circulation again. Jody is saying, that's the crafter's mantra. Why buy it for $10 when you can spend $50 and make it yourself? Yes, that's about Confetti Corner. Plus the added fun and frustration. Yes, but also the reward. I think isn't that the thing though? It's just like the reward. For example, in order to do this, I first needed to cut it, then I needed to edge it, then I needed to roll it and did it, and then roll it again and then sew it again. So that was 3 different times I needed to go around, but it was just like the end result was exactly what I wanted. So I was happy for the frustration, and I thought, boy, this is good. And that's something I've noticed is, right, the armholes are not as deep as I would like. And so this one is just about okay. It's just about okay on the non-mastectomy side. Yeah, you can see it, right? So, but I've got another one that I'm working on now that I got that also had the same problem. So this is like, okay, I can do this now. And it just, it's important that we do these things and get that feeling of productivity. And what worries me is how many people have not got that skill. The thing I found interesting when I was talking to Yvonne recently was that her son Cody is busy making things with a sewing machine. Interesting, right? A guy. and he's got really interested in sewing. And I'm not quite sure what he's making, but it's just like, it's good to know that he's doing that. Now, the one thing I can't find post the fire is I don't have any sunscreen in the house, and I didn't order any, so I'm hoping that Marnie has got some because that's not something I've needed. And that's something you got to think about when you're camping, right? Uh, so I'm going, right. But on the other hand, I know she's got that her motorhome has got an awning, so I should be okay. I can sit under the awning. But it's just like all these things that I used to have so many of that all went missing in the fire. But it's going to be good fun to find out. So I'm looking forward to the next little while. Oh, what else did I do? I tell you what else I did. Have you ever made English crumpets? They're round like this. We're not talking muffins. We're not English muffins. We're talking crumpets. And they normally have big holes in them at the top. And you put butter on them. And I made crumpets this week. I've never made them before. And it was surprisingly easy. I just went, who knew that was going to be that easy? So if you happen to be somebody that likes crumpets, I treated myself to that, which was good. It's no wonder I can't lose weight, right? So that's it for my happy week. I really do feel that I had a productive week. I spent some time outside. It was very, very hot this week. It's so hot that my air conditioner I've got a portable air conditioner, and it had problems keeping the temperature inside my living room to 80 in some days for a while, a couple of hours. But I must admit that it's done a great job. And I kept thinking, don't complain about it being 80, because without it, it would probably be 90. And I could really feel it. I'd get up from where I'm sitting in the couch and, working on the computer, and I'd get up and walk out of my living room area. And then behind this temperature difference in 5 steps was probably 10 degrees. So I am really, really happy that that's working. It's been unseasonably hot here, and I'm hoping that it will. I believe that it's going to be fairly pleasant tomorrow. It's going to be sort of about 20 degrees Celsius, which would be in the 80s, but not low 80s, not the high 80s. So I think that's right. Let me have a look here. What did I say? About 20 degrees. 20 degrees Celsius. I've got it here. Here we go. It's about 70. Yeah, so it's definitely cooler. So that's, it's going to be I would think mid to high 70s, which is going to be perfect for camping, in my view. So that's good. All right, so there we go. That's my week. It's been fun. I believe a lot of it, I've made it fun. I'm going to work really hard at going to bed early tonight, because otherwise I will not be able to go to bed early on Saturday, and that's important. Because we got to be up and gone by 11 o'clock in the morning. So that, and have breakfast and do all those sort of things. So I said to Marnie, that'll be about the time we go to bed. My experience of being in a camper with Marnie is we talk all night. And so, that is something I've got to be aware of. The question is, will I do a broadcast on Sunday? And the question is, the answer would be, I don't know. Until I get to Sunday, I won't know how tired I am. And by the time I've got everything back in the house and unpacked, will I be too tired to do a broadcast? So what I'm going to do is just to play that one by ear. And if I feel like doing a broadcast, I will do one and just update you. But if I don't feel like doing one, then I'm not. If I'm too tired, then obviously I will skip it. So there we go. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And thank you for being here. And I look forward to bringing you all the news from the camping trip and let you know how it went and how much fun we had and what we talked about and whether we solved the problems of the world or not. And also to get Marnie's view on artificial intelligence and what she is recommending that we do. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you for being here. And remember, happiness is a choice. However miserable you are, however angry you are, however disappointed you are, however frustrated you are, those are feelings and you have the ability to change them. When you're feeling those, you can choose to think differently. And quite honestly, the easiest thing is to do the opposite of what you're feeling. So I always ask myself, what am I feeling? Disappointed. If I'm feeling disappointed, then I need to feel achievement. I need to feel that I have achieved something, or I need to feel I've made a difference somewhere. Do you understand? Doing the opposite of it will get me out of that funk. And I want to say it is the fastest way I know. If I'm frustrated, what will make me feel like I am getting somewhere? Right? And obviously, I'm not going to keep hitting my head against this brick wall because this is not working. So I need to go somewhere else and do something where I can take a step forward. I will feel better. This is Dear Mama Sal saying happiness is a choice, and we make that choice multiple times every day. I'm hoping that you will choose to be as happy as you can be, as Jody does on a very regular basis. And I am definitely finding it does make the difference. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, I'll see you maybe Sunday or maybe not. Thanks, Jody. Bye bye.